What's up, you guys? It's Steve here, and a new phase of stimulus has just passed in the House of Representatives, and this is your stimulus package update, stimulus check update, and breaking news update. Now, for those of you that follow me here on the channel, you already know this is no surprise because we've been following this for quite some time now, and what we've seen historically with Congress is that when they suggest passing one form of stimulus, say for unemployed, like we saw originally in the beginning of the pandemic, then we saw following another phase for businesses. And then after that, another phase for direct assistance stimulus check payments to people. These various packages with different provisions, different phases that unfold. And so right now, we've had a new bill come out. I shared with you $10 billion for therapeutics and vaccines to help battle the pandemic. Now we're seeing a new phase coming out for, well, take a look at these headlines, you guys. House passes aid for restaurants, small businesses affected by the pandemic. This $55 billion bill would largely replenish a grant program created by the American Rescue Plan that provides assistance to restaurants. So a lot of people might be thinking, well, I don't own a restaurant. How is this going to be impacting me? Well, what you can see here is the ball is rolling in Congress to get out new phases of stimulus, and we've heard that right now there are 4 different proposals on the desk of Joe Biden in the White House for gas stimulus checks. Stimulus checks have come back, and we'll see that if these new phases start to get some traction, if direct assistance payments might also start coming out here very soon as well. Take a look, you guys. House passes $55 billion aid package for restaurants and other businesses. The House passes $55 billion in pandemic aid for restaurants and other hard-hit firms. So this is all coming back out, and we're hearing this is not going to be adding to the debt or inflation. This is going to be repurposed funds. And as I've let you guys know here on the channel, we've heard there's over $800 billion of leftover pandemic funds from previous packages. So tapping into those unused money sitting there and repurposing it to send out more help to people, restaurants, and battling the pandemic. So I'm going to get you caught up on all the details on that. And also, we've got some updates for you on Speaker of the House Nancy Pelosi, who actually tested positive for the pandemic. So I'm going to get you an update. The good news is they say that she is not doing bad. She's doing pretty well. But I'm going to get you all the details, you guys. So let's go ahead and dive right in. And as I mentioned, we will see if this new phase is going to be leading to other phases, such as maybe checks. And I will keep you guys up to date. But let's go ahead and dive right in. And before we do, if you could do me a quick favor, just takes a second. If you appreciate the updates, don't forget, smash that like button for the YouTube algorithm. Just takes a second. Really helps out my channel a ton. I appreciate it. Thank you so much. Also, leave your comments. Share this out if you think it's going to help out other people. If this is your first time here, stay up to date. Totally free. Come join the Ram fam. All you got to do is hit the subscribe button, turn on that notification bell. And if you got any specific questions for me, shoot them to me in the DM on Instagram at SteveRam3. And consider joining my second channel, Steve Ram Finance, to learn about growing wealth and personal finance. More content coming very soon on that second channel for those of you interested in stocks, real estate, crypto, starting businesses. But with that being said, let's go ahead and dive right in. All right, so first up, link in the description below to this article that says U.S. Speaker of the House Nancy Pelosi tests positive for the pandemic. And it says that the speaker tested positive, making her the most senior member of Congress so far to report an infection. The leading Democratic is asymptomatic, her spokesman said on Thursday. Ms. Pelosi is 82 years old, was seen hugging former President Barack Obama during his visit to the White House on Tuesday, and standing close to President Joe Biden. According to the latest U.S. guidelines, quarantine is not required after the pandemic's exposure for those that have been vaccinated. Both Mr. Biden and Mr. Obama have been vaccinated, and the current president tested negative on Wednesday, the White House has said. Now, Ms. Pelosi's spokesperson, Drew Hamill, said the speaker is fully vaccinated and boosted and is thankful for the robust protection that the vaccination has provided. The speaker will quarantine consistent with the CDC guidelines and encourages everyone to get vaccinated, boosted, and tested regularly. The news of Mrs. Pelosi's diagnosis comes as the U.S. approaches 1 million related deaths since the start of the pandemic. Now, after a steep spike in infections in December, fueled by highly contagious Omicron variant, cases and hospital admissions have fallen precipitously since mid-January. But breakthrough infections have hit a number of high-powered Washington residents in recent days. So there you have it, you guys. Speaker of the House Nancy Pelosi testing positive. She is quarantining, and we're hearing, though, she's asymptomatic, doing well. All right, you guys, so now let's dive into this new phase of stimulus that was passed in the House yesterday. Link in the description below. It says U.S. House passes $55 billion in pandemic aid for restaurants and other hard-hit firms. And it says the U.S. House of Representatives on Thursday approved a $55 billion pandemic aid bill aimed at helping restaurants, bars, and other businesses that are still struggling through the pandemic. And it says by a vote of 223 to 203, the House approved the measure earmarking $42 billion for restaurants that have applied for aid but did not receive it because of $28.6 billion fund that was depleted. So really interesting to hear that there's over $800 billion of leftover funds, but it's been allocated to certain things. And there's areas like this, funding to help restaurants that totally got wiped out and they have to replenish it. So they're starting to pull from other things to try to help these areas that have been fully wiped out. Now, the measure, which has not yet been considered by the Senate, was moving through the House as Congress was about to embark on a nearly 3-week spring recess. The legislation was supported only by a handful of Republicans. Democrats argued that the measure will not add to the U.S. budget deficit because it would be financed with funds that have been recouped from fraudulent claims under the program that was created a year ago in the Democratic President Joe Biden's American Rescue Plan legislation. So much fraud took place with these stimulus provisions. They've recouped a lot of those funds, and they're going to be using that to help create this new aid for restaurants. And it says the $1.9 trillion law provided pandemic aid and stimulus for the U.S. economy. Representatives Dean Phillip and Earl Blumenberg said nearly 300,000 restaurants and bars applied for the grants in 2021, but only about 1/3 actually received relief. Since the start of the pandemic in 2020, some 90,000 restaurants and bars have closed due to lack of business, the Democratic lawmakers have said. So there you have it, you guys. Additional funding going out for restaurants passed in the House of Representatives last night. It's now going to be making its way to the Senate, and that is where we're going to be seeing if it's going to get the support of Republicans. In order to pass through the traditional means in the Senate, they're going to need all 50 Democrats on board, and they're going to need 10 Republicans to get that 60 votes to pass it through. We'll see if they can do that. And if they can, they're going to get this to the president's desk to get passed to send out more stimulus funding. Now, if not, the only way is going to be through the process of reconciliation, which we're hearing the 2021 reconciliation bill, known as Build Back Better, is actually going to be coming to the table here for negotiations with Senator Joe Manchin and other Democrats to see if they can push it through. Also at their disposal is a 2022 stimulus reconciliation bill as well. So if phases of stimulus funding for, say, restaurants or vaccines, therapeutics, direct assistance payments to people in the form of stimulus checks, child tax credits, if any of those don't make it through the regular means, we will see what might make it into these reconciliation bills. Now, currently, just to clarify, the Build Back Better bill, or the one that was formerly known as the Build Back Better bill, does not have direct assistance payments in it. Now, we're going to see if they're going to push to get that in there, or if maybe they're going to do it in the next one. I will keep you up to date. I'll make sure that you know everything that's going on here on the channel as Congress is making their way through legislation, and we're hearing a whole lot more is going to be coming as this is a midterm election year, and it's going to be deciding who's going to stay in Congress and who's going to be leaving. So you guys, that is the latest, and I will be sure to keep you up to date here on the channel. As always, thank you so much for joining me, and if you made it this far and you haven't already, don't forget, take a quick second, smash that like button for me, helps out with the YouTube algorithm. I appreciate it. Leave your comments, share this out. If this is your first time here and you'd like to stay up to date, totally free to do so. All you got to do is hit that subscribe button and turn on that notification bell to come join the Ram fam. If you got any specific questions for me, shoot them to me in the DM on Instagram at SteveRam3, and consider joining the second channel, Steve Ram Finance, to learn about growing wealth and personal finance. But with that being said, you guys, thanks again for joining me, and I will catch you in the next one. Take care. God bless. This is Steve.